Welcome to the podcast. Episode 161 is another interview with Tim Dade. Tom has just run and won the Unreasonable East 200 miler, his first 200 miler, by the way. This is a stunning course that tackles the best the Blue Mountains has to offer. With around 11,000 metres vert, though, it's not an easy race. Tom managed it in 57 hours, 39 minutes, and 57 seconds for an amazing finish, well ahead of second. The Unreasonable East 200 miler is the sister event to the Delirious West 200 miler in Western Australia and the Irrational South 200 miler in South Australia. Tom and his partner Mel came onto the show today to chat with me about how it all went for him, and obviously it went rather well. Now, if you yourself are looking to run further or faster than you ever have before, you need to have structured, individualized training to help you get there. If you want to achieve the best you are capable of, email me, Isabel, at peakendurancecoaching.com.au to get a program started. Also, don't forget to check out my website to get on board with my live event. I'll be presenting on how to develop your mental strength to get you through those rough and tough races and ultras and training blocks and all that sort of thing. So go to peakendurancecoaching.com.au to make sure you learn these actionable, easy to implement strategies. Until then, enjoy the podcast and be motivated by Tom. Hi, Tom, and welcome back to the podcast. And a big welcome to Mel, who's here for the first time.
Hello.
How are you going?
Good. So, how are you? Well, firstly, Tom, I should say congratulations. I always seem to be saying congratulations on your Unreasonable East 200 miler finish. And I've written down 57 hours, 39 minutes, and 57 seconds. But the first question I have to ask is, which I noticed when I saw the post about it, is they always show a post of you at the end of these things eating a pizza. How the hell are you eating pizza? Like at the end, the last thing I want to do at the end of something is eat. So how do you do it?
Oh, I was hungry. My mum and dad said, "You want pizza?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be great." And then
wow, and you could actually eat. Yeah. Like you don't feel nauseous or anything.
No, I'm not super duper hungry. But yeah, like there's that's things that long, like it's that lower intensity. Like I can pretty much eat fine, be hungry the whole time. So
Mel, you've crewed for Tom a bit. So would you agree? Like, is it easy to get him to eat during these races?
Yeah, very easy. It's actually harder to fit all the food into his pack that he's going to eat throughout the next section before the next aid station a lot of the time.
Well, because it's often a battle for so many runners to be able to eat, and the biggest battle is for the crew is forcing people to eat.
Yeah, no, I'm lucky. He's actually pretty easy to crew for in that sense because, I've never had any issues with trying to force feed him food, that's for sure.
No, you always got good food ready, and so.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, and secondly, then how's the recovery going?
Yeah, recovery
hasn't been long, has it?
No, from Unreasonable. Yeah, that was when the finish Thursday night. Was today Monday, so it's been only 3 or something days. Yeah, no, recovery's gone really well. Like legs wise and everything, they're pretty much nearly back to normal. Fatigue wise, I'm still tired.
Yeah. And
still recovering from that. But that also could be that, like, since then I didn't have much sleep. So, like, that night I finished at 8 and I still only had 4 or 5 hours sleep. So I had to be up early for a radio interview, and then
okay.
After I had to get up, I had to drive off to my mate's bucks party on Saturday night. Mate's bucks party on Saturday night, didn't sleep much there, so I think that could be that as well. But so recovery's been really good.
Wow, oh God, you're just a machine, honestly. That's amazing. And what I find interesting is, you finished Thursday night, but I was still reading about people finishing the race yesterday.
Yeah, and I reckon they're the ones, honestly, that I kind of just like in awe of, because they're out there for 100 plus hours.
Yeah.
Doing like 2 kilometers an hour or something, and but still the same, putting in the same effort. And it's like, that's bloody tough. So
yeah. So I mean, I'm sure it wasn't easy for you, but I get what you're saying is that being out there for such a long time is really hard.
Yeah.
So Mel, can you say, as an outside observer, if it does Tom, like, does he work on his recovery, or is it just something naturally, or how do you see him doing recovery?
It's a bit of both. I mean, he's fairly consistent with training, but his intensity of training will drop in the aftermath of a race. So he'll do a lot more sort of cross training with swimming and sort of lighter, easier runs, and a bit more sort of upper body weights and things like that. So there is a shift, but it generally doesn't take very long, and he's back at it. And like we were talking, even sort of during the race, he can sleep for a very short period of time, and just the recovery he experiences while racing just from a short nap is beyond anything that I've seen before. So he does recover very well and doesn't need a whole lot to get him back to sort of where he was beforehand.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Wow. And Tom, do you take any rest days after a race, or do you get straight back into cross training?
Yeah, I'm straight back into it. I think, I mean, as long as you're not pushing an injury or anything that's like no stop, then the quicker you can get moving again and get everything back to normal, the quicker you should. So
what about just a mental break from training?
Well, I always find myself, I'm in a better mental state even after, training. And again, because I swear it's all connected. Like moving your blood around your body helps mentally. Like you go for a walk or anything like that.
Yeah.
I find it wakes you up a bit when you're tired as well. Like it's as long as you're not. I like as long as the intensity, as Mel was just saying, is dropped, and then like there's a huge difference. Like for instance, the day after Unreasonable, I was just doing like just push-ups and pull-ups and stuff, and I just give myself lots of rest and just take it easy. And I'm not pushing myself mentally to do that, really.
Yeah. So. No, that's fair enough. And it's not structured training per se.
No, not at all. It's not. I never feel like I have to do it. It's so it's not really a big toll.
Yeah, no, that's all right then. So, can you just talk us through the race? Did you go into it with the intention of winning with such a huge margin, or because this was your first 200? Well, I suppose you've done more than 200, haven't you? But it was your first. No, you haven't. No, it was this.
Down under was the first one.
Yeah, this was your first 200, wasn't it?
Yeah. First 200. Yeah, before that, down under to 26 I'd gone. So it's an extra 100 plus 103k. So
yeah. So then talk us through it. What was your sort of I mean, do you even have a race strategy going into races? I don't know. Or if you do, tell us about it. If you don't, how do you do it? Do you wing it? Do you plan it? What happens?
I'd say
wait, we're all taking notes, but yeah.
It's pretty much winging it, to be honest. I had a rough, I was like 60 to 70 hours would be great. Like, and I looked at DU and kind of the time that took me, and it was like how technical that is compared to what I'm going to be up against. And I thought, well, it's an extra 100k, but like it's only, I say only, it's still quite a bit, like 11,000, 12,000 meters ascent over that distance.
Yeah.
And the trails are supposed to be much more runnable and undulating. So I kept that in mind. I thought, okay, I added an extra 10 hours or so of DU, and I think that'll be plenty. But other than kind of a rough estimate of timing, I just took it. My only thing is just take it, stay as comfortable as possible for as long. So just take it as easy as it takes, and just let the rest kind of unfold. Make sure I've got everything on me to be able to prepare for anything that I come across, and then I just adapt to whatever.
So you mean anything on you, like what sort of things?
Well, just pretty much making sure my drop bags, I've got plenty of food, gear. If I get something happens to my gear, I can swap that over, or just any issues that I might come up against, I have a solution for those issues, and just play it by ear.
And so you say you go out easy. Surely there must be some sort of, it can't be easy. Like, do you go really easy from the start, or just sort of moderately easy?
I don't think about it. I was like, it's just, it's in a zone where I'm not thinking about, I'm not pushing, I'm not thinking about slowing down. I'm just doing my own thing.
Yeah.
And when that is, it is. And with Unreasonable, I was lucky that I ended up being running with two other runners, Warren and Gerber, for nearly 100 miles, a bit more than 100 miles. So, but I didn't slow down to stay with them or push harder to keep up with them. It was just, that's just how it turned out. That's just tough, but yeah, what I do.
So they eventually fell off the pace, did they?
Yeah. So for them, that pace was no longer sustainable, I guess. So, they felt, because I was their first 200 mile too, so they were a bit unsure. And for them, that was no longer doable. So, but for me, I was able to.
I think it takes a lot of self-knowledge of yourself from running a lot to be able to know what that pace is, because obviously you can't define it because it's not something that's definable. It's something that only you can feel. Yeah. So, and do you think you've garnered that through racing, or do you practice it during training as well?
I think it's a lot to do with my training too. It's kind of, that's how I do my training as well. Like, again, it's not really structured, but if there's days like I know I'm going to train every day. What that is, sometimes I'm not sure of, but say I'm just, my legs are tired, I'm okay, well, today I'm not going to run, I'm going to do swimming, or so I'm constantly listening to what my body's telling it and playing it again, just playing it by ear. So I think that does translate over to the And
I have to say, I think I really believe in that, in learning to listen to your body and not just following the watch all the time, or the watch says to do this pace, or the watch says I'm peaking, or whatever it is, but just listening to your body. So I think that's super important. So well done.
Oh, cheers. Yeah, that internal dialogue, I think, is really important.
Sorry?
The internal dialogue is really important. Yeah.
No. And so, but at any point, did it start to feel hard?
And it's funny, because I talk about being internal. When it started to get difficult is when something external started to happen. And that was the last 60K, and kind of just looked like, Sean was saying, the fastest miler, 200 mile out of all my races was a certain time. And I was like, it's got to be hard, but I was like, it might be doable. I think it was like 7 or 8 hours for 60K. And at this stage, I was still feeling pretty good. Like, I was still feeling comfortable running 6:30s on the flats. I was like, okay, I think I can do that. But then I had that goal, and I thought, and then also be finished by night. So I started to work harder. I started to do some 5:30s for a while, and just as soon as I started doing that, and then I just completely stuffed myself up, and even mentally, you would know.
Yeah, your headspace just completely shifted in that space, to the point where I was like, I'm just going to leave you, because we were on the phone most of the race. I was like, you just need some time to just go in right now, because you're not having fun.
Yeah, I blew myself up trying to push for that external. Stop listening.
Yeah, and that's it. As soon as you go for that external goal, it doesn't work, does it?
No, not most of the time. I'd say I'm sure there's a lot of people that have, and they've pushed really hard and they've got that goal, and it's been amazing. But for me, I found, especially those longer things, a lot of the time it's not. It just builds up that extra anxiety, and you do something stupid like I did and push you hard, and all falls apart.
But at least it was only the last 60K. It wasn't like the last 160K.
I was like, I wouldn't have done that if it was halfway through or something. It wouldn't be
So everybody always talks about a why. Do you have your own personal why when you're racing?
I like it, again, like I've always had like my main ones, and then it's like just you get, when it strips you down to like so much, it kind of, for me, it gets you out of your comfort zone, and you start to like appreciate the things that like you might be taking for granted for like on a day-to-day basis. Like I'll start to feel like upset and lonely, and I start missing like Mel, and then I start to feel really grateful for what we have, and then family and all that, like just those emotions you get when you're that broken down, and you really start to realize what's important, and then how lucky, like how realize makes you like how lucky you are. So like getting that refresher when running is a big why. And two, like these things for me, like as I used to not have great, and still suffer a bit like self-esteem and confidence, finishing things like that has built up over the years, a lot more confidence. So the more you add, the more confident I get with myself, which adds to other things in my life as well. Like it benefits everything. So they kind of, and obviously I feel like it's been out in nature with the mountains and when it's peaceful. Like I used to be scared of running at night, but these nights are just calm and it's just peaceful. And it's so it's a combination of things, I think.
Yep. No, and that's fair enough. And I agree. A lot of people say you have to have a why. I don't think you necessarily have to have a solid why, as in one specific thing. I think what you're saying is perfectly acceptable too. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And so you were on the phone to Mel. So Mel, did you ring him or did he ring you?
Most of the time he was ringing me. So there was only 1 or 2 times that I tried to call, but a lot of that was reception.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. Not a lot of strategizing goes in before a race, as Tom was saying. He kind of wings it a bit. Yep. But during the race, there's a lot of that happens. So crewing him, that's one of the big things. And so even though I wasn't at Unreasonable, still felt like I was a big part of it, which was quite cool. Because that would be sort of, he'd call and he'd say, okay, this is how I'm feeling. Do you think that I should sleep at the next aid station? How long for? And we kind of problem solve things that are coming up as well. Yeah, that
second opinion.
Yep. Yeah.
Really, useful.
Yeah.
And if you're running by feel, I suppose it makes sense to strategize as you go, because you don't know how you're going to feel until you're in the moment.
No, exactly. You don't know. And then I know that too, like I might want to feel like I need a nap at the next aid station. It might be what I really want. But it might be actually smarter to maybe just push through that next one and get to the one after that. And that's where someone like Mel, a crew is helpful in that situation.
Yeah. Or even pulling up sooner. You might be feeling really good, but knowing that night's coming and that it's going to cool down, it makes more sense to sleep during the day where it's warmer and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then there's also the emotional support side of it as well, particularly when you get quite emotional in those moments.
Yeah, that's huge. I agree. And so Mel, you weren't there this time. So who was crewing you?
My parents, my mum and dad and my little brother came with me to crew this one, which is really nice because they've been there for my first 100K, my first miler, and now my first 200 miler. So
lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So well, that would have been nice. And I know they did use I would thought they had crewed before for you, so they're probably pretty experienced at it too. Yeah,
they're pretty good. And also I think Mel's kind of perfected it for me. Like she knows what to do exactly with the crew. So she helped me organise all my drop bags beforehand and even gave things for me to tell my parents to help with crewing.
So he really gave them their crew bags, bag with food, bag with extra gear that if in case things failed, and a bag with sort of clothes and things like that. So we're pretty organised this time
because of you
compared to what we normally are.
Yeah. And so how did it compare to DU?
To be honest, I think it was quite easy, like quite a lot easier. To be honest,
I can believe that.
Yeah, it was good. Which just goes to show me that DU is just something else, because 200 miles is so far. Yeah. Like it's 100 more K, but I didn't have to push like I did at DU. Like I still had to work hard and I still tried the best I could, but I didn't have to go to that place that you have to go to finish DU, which is not somewhere I like to go very often because it's really pain. But
I can imagine it must be a pretty grim place.
And I guess like it showed like I had like 40 minutes left to finish DU. Like I guess that to me that cut off. Whereas this one I had an extra. I could have slept for 2 days and still would have finished. So that being said though, it's still difficult. Like it was hard. It was really, really hard. Just having to constantly push. When you I was asleep over the thing. I can remember there was a conversation with Mel towards the end. And I was like, "You have them all. You always have it. Like I've had enough. What am I doing? Like I've just been running on this fire trail now for like 2 hours. An extra 6K than I thought I had to run, and that's now going to make me run in the dark. I'm sick of this. Like." And I was that conversation where you're just like, "Oh, I'm just going to let you go."
You've just got to move through this because you kind of get into this space of why am I doing this at all? And you're questioning everything. It's like your own little existential crisis that you're having in that moment, and that's when you often have to just go in and then you get through it.
Yeah. So it was easier than DU, but still really difficult. Yeah.
Is it hard for you, Mel, hearing him go through those difficult stages?
It is. It was really hard this time in particular because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's nice, so when I'm there and I get to see him at the aid station, I can give him a hug and I can, he sort of comes out of it. And at DU in particular, he was in a fairly good headspace most of the way, whereas it feels quite helpless at times. So that is a tricky part. Yeah.
No, and it's good though that you can talk together and get through it, and when he needs to just get into his own head and just get it done, basically. So did you sleep at all this time?
Yeah, so I slept, I think we worked out about an hour overall. So I think it was a 2 15s, a 10 and a 20.
Okay.
Yeah. So then they made their night and day like differences. Like I think first one was like in the afternoon. I also kind of planned it this time. I noticed when running, I noticed with DU that I sleep at night, come out, I'd be freezing. It would be shocking to start. I wouldn't want to get out. So this one, I was like, it actually might be better to sleep during the day when the sun's out and when it's not so cold. So my first 2 sleeps were actually on the second day in the afternoon in the sun, which was a great idea. And then I think the second 2 I just had to take because I was starting to fall asleep on the trail. So they were a night on the last night, I think. So
were they actually on the trail, those naps?
No, they were. Each one was at an aid station.
Yeah.
So it'd be a 2-minute.
Oh, I did have so really it's an hour and 2 minutes if you want to count. There was one night where I was going up Narrow Neck. I think that was the last full night. And there was like a V-shaped tree. I was just falling asleep. I was like, that'll be good enough. I'm just gonna like sit in that for a second and just rest my head. It was really cold, so I couldn't stay there too long. But like as soon as I had that 2-minute nap, I was no longer being like a snake. I've
had that before, and I think it's almost just the closing of the eyes and resetting the brain because it's like the brain is overloaded.
Yeah, it is. Exactly. That's a really good way of putting it. Yeah, it's not actually the sleep itself, but it's like in the brain a second. Yeah,
I think that's really important. And did you have paces?
Yes, the last 25K. I didn't go in planning to have one, but a good mate, Ben, who was coming up to volunteer first aid, he rang me, messaged me the last 60K, like, hey, do you want a pacer for the last part? And I was like, yeah, of course, that'd be great. So
cool.
Yeah, he paced for the last 25.
And did that make it more fun or more bearable?
Yeah, I honestly, like, that was when I was struggling is when I got into that aid station where I met him.
Yeah.
And then leaving that last 25, like usually those last 20s are really painful and suck and they go on forever and ever. But that was like I started again. We had laughing the whole time, just being there, just making jokes, and it was good fun. So
that's great. Really that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so when you say, you can eat anything, what sort of stuff did you eat?
I had like Carmen bars, like nut bars. I had donuts. I had egg and bacon wraps. At the aid stations, I had like a bean wrap at an aid station. Cakes, chocolates, shapes, chips. Didn't have one gel or anything like that. I think that was pretty much. Anything else? Remember it was packed away.
Did you have hash browns? There was lollies.
Oh yeah, there was a hash brown in the wraps. Yeah, a few lollies. But I think that's literally everything I ate.
Wow, I'm in awe though. I wish I could eat like that when I run. I don't know. My stomach goes safe. I don't know how you do it.
I will say I am gassy the whole time. The people who are running with me will know. Like I'm constantly. It kind of sucks.
That's because you're swallowing air as you're going. It's not like you're sitting down at a table eating, So it's gonna.
That's very true. And the other thing, it's this race. I've never had this to an ultra before, but I actually had to go to the toilet for number 2s like 5 times every day. So
wow!
Everything actually seemed to be digesting somewhat normally, and like all that food was actually processed.
Moving through you.
I've never had that before. Usually it's nothing till the end, and that's it. But
wow,
yeah.
So your body really wasn't working that hard then.
Yeah, which I think, to say that low intensity,
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And so last time we spoke about how many calories you burned. How many did you burn this time?
This one, I think it said, was it 25,000?
Yeah.
It said?
Yeah, it's 25,000.
25,000, which was actually the same. I think DE was about the same.
Yeah, it was just, I thought it was more like, maybe a bit under, but yeah.
It could have been 27, DE.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know.
Either way, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Either way, yeah.
And so to get that calculation, I'm presuming you have the heart rate monitor on the wrist.
Yeah.
So what was sort of your average heart rate?
That's a good question. I could get my phone and have a look.
Yeah, have a look.
You can get it on Strava there.
Yeah.
I think it was in the 120s or 30s, I think.
Wow. And obviously you had someone charging your watch along the way again.
Yeah, so each time I got into the aid station, especially when I was napping, I would just kind of have it on me and kind of I'm pretty anal that I don't want anyone to press any buttons on the watch.
No, I agree.
It'd be a nightmare, so I keep that pretty close. So I hold it when I'm sleeping and let it charge. I remember that shit was my mum was trying to get it off one stage. Like, no, don't touch that. You leave that. That's fine.
That's funny.
Okay, I think getting it up now.
It's loading.
Goes.
What's this?
And so how was the condition of the trails? Because I know a lot of the park has been closed because of the bushfires and the flooding and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
What were the trails like?
The trails we were on they were fine. They're really actually a few of them were kind of overgrown, like they hadn't been used for a while. No surprise, but like other than that, they're all really good.
No, good.
Yeah, good trails. I think because he's gotten rid of the ones that were that had the landslide. They cut from it. All right, so we got the heart rate here. So my average was 121, and my max was 170.
And do you think that was during that period where you were pushing a bit harder?
It was during the big climb.
The big climb.
To Black Range.
Yeah. So because it's the last before the turnaround point. There's a 6-foot track. It's kind of just constantly up for a while.
Yeah.
So that part there would have been there. So, but yeah.
Oh, there you go. Wow. Geez, I'm surprised it got that high. But 120. Yeah. Wow, that's low.
Yeah. Yeah, it is actually.
But that's great. I mean, that shows what good condition you're in.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's the importance of training, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So Mel, how do you find him to crew for in general? Like, is he fussy or?
No, he's the easiest person to crew for. The hardest part is the speed. So the time it takes to actually drive between aid stations is really anxiety provoking because sometimes he's quicker than you are because of the way you've got to go. So that he's really easy. Like basically the way we sort of run it is we have his bags full of his stuff and he'll sort of tell me before he comes in, he'll give me a call and say, oh, this is what I want. This is what I need. And so when he comes in, we've got everything there, and food-wise, he'll just pick whatever he feels like eating at that time. Yeah. And if we've had sort of a pattern, we'll restock his pack with those things that he's feeling good eating. But he's actually really easy to crew for, and he's always in a really good mood. Like he never gets angry at you. He's just so grateful all the time. And I quite like that, when he'll call and just be in those moments of just gratitude where he's so sort of swept away and quite overwhelmed by everything. It's because your crew and your paces, they come and they're spending all this time just for you to run around. Like that blows my mind. Like it's just so like selfless and kind. Like,
I agree. Yeah.
So like they deserve the most. They don't deserve any shit. Like they're there for you and they're putting everything in. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's nice because we get to see you in your rawest form, which is I like that side of you. And particularly as you get tired, you get a bit loopy, and you're quite funny as well. So you keep us entertained too.
Yeah, I remember with Ben. I don't know. I thought it was this really great philosophical moment. I thought that I came up with this huge fact, and it was just that ABC rhymed with 1, 2, 3.
Oh, wow.
Then was just like, yeah, the Jacksons came up with that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, this stupid shit.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's good. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, honestly, the crew goes through so much, and they don't get the joy of finishing the run, and so it's a big commitment. So yeah, I think we should always all show our gratitude to our crew. So what's next for you?
I don't actually have anything like major till GCR.
Okay, yeah, and you're doing the miler there, yeah?
Doing the mile there, yeah. Yeah.
So you're just going to focus on training, or are you going to have some adventures, or what are you going to do?
I haven't really thought about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know I was going to try and actually see what happens if I did like a normal training and lead up to an event.
Yeah.
So, have
Might be a good experiment. Yeah.
Peaking thing. I'll probably hate it, but
yeah, probably.
But I thought I'd give it a go. It's only been a learning experience. So kind of got that coming up, and I got this kind of mountaineering coursing up in
Okay, cool.
Just the break off running there. And
what about you, Mel? Do you have anything coming up that he could crew you for?
yes.
Yes, there's a few races. So I'm hoping to do 100K at the Yangs. So,
oh, nice. Yep.
Yeah, that'll be my birthday run, which will be nice.
Awesome.
And yeah, he'll join me for some of that, if not all of that. Yeah, and then we'll just sort of see, and then GSR building up to that. Nice.
Are you going to run at GSR, or are you going to crew?
Yeah, I'm hoping to run.
Okay, good.
That's the plan.
First miler.
Yep, I'm going to do it this time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's a hard. You did that as your first miler. Started that as your first miler. Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah.
Looking at the other milers around now, I realize just how big that is for a first one.
Yeah, that's right. So what do you think, Tom, of the 200 miler as a distance?
I really like it because again, like it is, my heart rate was, as that says it, my average heart rate is 120. I'm never really working, but over that distance you can get a time that at least like, a decent time, I think it suits type of the way I run more so, like no longer. Just because I'm not a super fast runner, like a 3:20 runner.
Yeah.
A 2:20 marathon runner or anything like that. So the longer distance I think accommodates me more. And it's more like an adventure. Like it's you're out there. I kind of even look at it as like a glorified hike, which is it's more fun, I think, over time.
Yeah.
And you meet crazier people as well. Like
the naked guy in the bush.
Was he really a naked guy in the bush, or was it an hallucination?
No, that was with the first 5K. There was this, I think it was international or some.
Oh, yeah, it was International Naked Hiking Day, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah, so there was this naked guy, everything, you could see everything.
My God.
As all the runners ran through, first 5K.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was just like, g'day, how you going? I'm like, hello. For a second I thought Sean actually like organised it as a joke or something. But
that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh God. Imagine that. He wouldn't have expected all those runners coming
No. He probably would have thrown him through some sorts, I reckon.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I kind of thought that was just a joke, but yeah, maybe that guy was serious about it. So there you go. And so is there another 200 miler in the series coming up, or is?
So I think for this year, that's the end. I think
that's it.
There was a few of them finished the Triple Crown. I think I had 5 of them or 4 that finished it.
Yeah.
So then it starts again next year with Delirious in February.
Yeah. So you're going to try this time to get the 3 in?
Yeah. I think that next year that would be my major goal. Like those three races. So
have you decided yet on DU?
I've went one way, then I can't come back, and then I leave another way. The big thing is like, because Mel wants to finish, DU herself. So for me, it's more torn between crewing and pacing for Mel or being selfish and trying to run it the third time myself.
But you've got Delirious is what, February?
Yeah. So
and then what's February. The next one?
Irrational was April, and then Unreasonable is June. So
And when's DU? That's May.
So I did the. Sounds crazy. I know my body will able to do it. Like I did DU 5 weeks ago now, and before that, 2 weeks before that, I did like Alpine Challenge. So I know the body.
So why is it? Do you think that your body just seems to respond so well to doing more racing rather than less?
I think because when everyone looks at racing, I guess they're really pushing their absolute hardest. Like, and you see, for me, like I'm pushing hard, but I'm not looking at like each one as like an A race or anything. Like it's all like my heart rate's pretty low. Like so I think if I was trying to push, if everyone I was trying to push like I was at Oscars, like this year I tried Oscars, pushing like that recovery took me way longer than the other ones, and that was 100K. So I think it's just the intensity that I'm pushing each race. I don't think there's anything necessarily different. I just think maybe the way I approach races is a bit different to other people. Yeah.
So do you two train together?
Yeah, we do a lot of our weight training together, and then you'll do your sort of slower runs with me, which I think has been good training for you. You said as well.
Yeah, I think for a 200 mile running with Mel, and also there's the Strava art, which I've been doing, which is slow to figure that out, has actually been some of the best training, because it's that type of pace and that type of, I don't know, just that relaxed about it is kind of what translates over to a 200 miler, I think.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Now, of course, everyone is intrigued with your Strava art. What brought all that on?
Well, that was after Down Under, and like I didn't want to get into a full training and start pushing things, and then I started to run with a friend like Peter, and I like this Mornington Misfit running group, and Mick and stuff, and they did like a dolphin flip at the dolphin at one run, and then since then I was like, they're like, you really enjoyed that, there's all these other runs. So then Peter and I decided to do all these other ones that you're showing me, and then it just kind of
we started creating our own.
Started creating our own. Kind of like everything else, once we get into something, it becomes an obsession.
Sounds like a typical ultra runner.
Yeah.
And so when you say you design your own, do you just think of something and then create it on Strava, or how do you do it?
They route it. I'm not going to claim that I think I've only created one of these, like, and half kind of created it. The rest were like Peter and created, and I just followed their route. But they would plan it. A lot of the times there's things like that, run somewhere and it looked the shape of something, and then they would go back and go, okay, I'm going to try and make it more specific and plan out the route on Strava and then run it. Yeah. So it's never like on the go.
Mine was a little different, because I was determined to try and make a giant squid.
Yes, and that's the one I'm picturing in my head, actually.
Yeah, I thought that would be really cool. And so I found the eye. So I searched just the Strava maps to see if there was something that would kind of look like the mantle and the eye, and then a place where you could draw the tentacles, and then went on to Strava once I found that eye, and everything else kind of fell into place. But the first time I designed it, it was only 38 kilometers long, and I was like, well, if it's a giant squid, it needs to be at least 50. So I went back and I rejigged all the tentacles and added a few more in. Yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah.
That does sound like fun. Yeah. No, we've I know, talking about it with other people, we've all loved having a look and seeing all the different Strava art. So that's good. And that's interesting that the slower pace is being, or not slower per se, but more relaxed and not worrying about pace was helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Put you in that headspace kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also gives you something as well. Like I know you were saying when you did Surf Coast Marathon, that it kind of gave you that desire to really go out hard and to push it, made you want it more. That's the
other thing. Yeah, having those slower runs, because I've got an ego. So when I'm running, I'm like, I want to be with those front runners. So, and I want to just go, but you're like, no, this is what we've said. So like that builds up that fire. You're like, I want to push now.
You've got more of the energy to run super hard when you haven't used it all up and just in your day-to-day sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So. Oh, well, that's really awesome. Well, you once again, congratulations, fantastic run, and can't wait to hear how you go next year with all three of them. Like I'm sure that will go really well, as will GSER and everything else that you seem to turn to seems to. So I know there was a lot of very excited dot watching going on with the amazing lead that you had. So, you know, that's awesome.
I just want to take a chance, like, to thank everyone that it's been so overwhelming. Like, all the people following that dot and commenting, like, really nice comments. And I've just, I can't, I'm just so, like, appreciative of it. Like, I want to go back and reply to every single one, but there's, like, so many. So I get up and go, I'm going to do it. I get it open and I look at it. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm shutting it off. Everyone's watching, or listening. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I think people were so excited to see, you know, how far was it between you and second anyway? Did it end up being?
Was it 6 hours? I think don't take this as word, but I think it was 6 hours, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. So, you know, well done. And I'm sure, like you say, I think, you know, that really long distance obviously does suit you. So an exciting future ahead.
Yeah, see what happens. Yeah.
All right, well, good luck both of you with GSER. So I'll probably be there volunteering, so I'll see you there. But
cool.
Thank you.
It'll be interesting to see how a solid training block goes, not just physically but mentally, how you cope with that, like whether you find it good or not good, you know.
I definitely know I'll struggle, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I'll be doing less. I think I'll be doing less and then doing more faster things, and so I think I will struggle.
But I think it's still an interesting experiment to try, just to see. Regardless. I mean, and also the fact that I don't think there's that many big races anyway.
No, there's not really much more. And like, I still might enter some just for fun, like, like not doing new games. I might enter the 100K myself and then kind of go back and pace her after that. But just as a silly,
just for fun, just bust out 100Ks. Yeah, no worries.
Little fun run.
No, excuse me. It's just funny to hear, like, you know, it just goes to show how different we are. Like, normal people hearing us would be like freaking out, and we're just like,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Crazy ultra runners. All righty, well, thank you so much to both of you for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
No worries. Bye.
Bye.